Hello everyone and welcome to game 2 in this, or it's not game 2, second game I'm casting, the game 5 in the series between Grubby and Shortstuff, who I also believe to be Mana. So Shortstuff spawning as a Zerg player, but then again, Mana I thought normally played Protoss, so I'm just going to consider him to be Shortstuff, not Mana, even though one of the observers did say Mana chose the map and things aren't quite that, distinctive here. Alright, let's go ahead and straight into the game. Shortstuff spawning as the red Zerg on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Grubby on the top left-hand side of the map. This will be a north and south spawn here in Tomb Valley, as Grubby once again going for that Forge Fast expansion. Now, Forge Fast expansion play has become pretty common for the past couple of months now, and Zerg players have pretty much dealt with it by setting up their own quick third. We are going to be seeing a hatchery be placed down here momentarily, but will Shortstuff once again go for an earlier spawning pool or not? So far, Grubby has been going for a pretty economic 2-base timing, and then trying to follow that up with some sort of other pressure or turning it into a very long macro-intensive game. Probe now makes its way back down, is going to take a look around, see that there is not a hatchery, and now we once again see that Shortstuff going for that earlier spawning pool, a 15 pool, and then it most likely will be followed up with a 15 or 16 hatchery. Let's take a look in the base of Grubby. Grubby so far has not done anything as of yet. Will most likely pull a probe off momentarily, perhaps set up a forge, mine some minerals, and then set up a nexus. Spawning pool is already down as a pylon is used to do a little bit of blocking, and a nice move there to prevent that drone from really doing much of anything else. We are going to be seeing a forge now come down off over here. That one pylon may get cancelled. Yes, going to get cancelled there as the probe sits there. We are going to be seeing the nexus, and then Grubby may warp in. Nope, he does not warp in another pylon. The probe actually moving a little bit too far away, and Shortstuff is able to set up that hatchery like he wants to. Queens and Zerglings now making a move across the field, or making a move onto the field, as the Zerglings should be able to chase away this one probe. Forge, pylons, and a photon cannon being added to the front door. Pretty standard play so far, and we'll see when Grubby decides to take down these destructible rocks. We've often seen Protoss players use pylons and then gateways to really wall up the secondary ramp that leads up inside their base, making it very difficult to attack anywhere except for the main wall. Zerglings are going to be able to make their way in, but only 2 Zerglings at that, and with that, the probe should be able to turn around and get off some easy shots here. The Zerglings are slightly faster though, and until a stalker makes their way out, these Zerglings will be able to just constantly harass these probes as they try to do some work. We can see the second base is already up for Shortstuff. Now just needs to transfer some drones and a queen. The third hatchery now has been placed down, about halfway done. And Shortstuff pretty much gaining a lot of scouting information with these Zerglings. And also, oh, what is this? Can this probe get off the final hit? It looks like it will not, as that Zergling is still simply dancing around. We may see a dance around, and oh, Grubby almost gets the kill there. And now that Zergling might simply have enough hit points to take another hit. So once more, natural regeneration causing more and more problems for that probe, as the probe wants to do something but is unable to really do anything there. Hatchery about to be completed, and now it will be a 3-base Zerg versus a 2-base Protoss. Shortstuff needs to consider when he wants to place down a creep tumor and when he's going to be transferring this queen over, or will he just be training the queen up at the hatchery by its lonesome self. Now, we are going into that double gas play with the robotics facility that we saw on game 4. With that build, we saw 3 immortals and a very effective use of warp prisms in order to just push and try and save those immortals. Immortals are very strong units, especially if you allow their shields to naturally recharge, take them out of combat, put them back in, and they are very difficult to take down. And because of that, they need focus fire, but if you focus fire them, all Grubby will do is pick them back up, put them back down, and reforce you to focus fire them once more. Hatchery, we can see the queen nearly out at the third base, queen already up at the second, creep tumors already being spread, as well as we're doing a faster tech to tier 2 this time. Shortstuff doing a faster tech to tier 2, metabolic boost already about halfway done. Meanwhile, it looks like Grubby is doing his pretty much same exact build as he did in game 4. There is an observer out though, so an observer out faster this time around, as we are now going into some immortals. Photon cannon still on the front door. Zergling decides not to get shot down by it, as the observer going to be doing a little bit of scouting down here. Double extractors at the second base. No gas at the third as of yet. Harvester count is 46 drones versus 48 probes, as the overlords are simply flying around. We're going to see Grubby. How come I can't see the pylon power? That's kind of odd. Alright, so one overlord will quickly get taken down here. Do I have to hit V and then... Nope, I actually can't see the pylon power areas anymore. Alright, so I don't know if this was a change or not, but we are going to see an immortal now shoot its way down past these set of destructible rocks, perhaps setting up another 3 gateways here, and then making the main front door entrance pretty difficult to take down. Grubby sitting at 65 over 76, Shortstuff 77 over 86, with a slight drone advantage for Shortstuff, but that's not really much to talk about, as we are pretty even so far. And now we are going into Mutalisk. Now we don't see any photon cannons, not that many stalkers, no phoenixes, so the Mutalisk should be able to get in a good amount of harassment. The sentries are the only real counter to them, that they can hit them down, but they really will have to use that Guardian Shield to minimize how much damage those Glaive Worms do, as we now see, oh, a beautiful force field trapping Zerglings on the wrong side of the ramp, and a beautiful play there when trading energy for units. Alright, front door did warp in a gateway as well, then cancelled. Units are still trying to make their way down. Zerglings are going to get picked off here, as we are now going into 9 Mutalisks. Grubby making a move with a smaller force this time around than his typical 3 immortals, going 2 immortals, and now setting up a gateway in a curious position again. This gateway here is actually going to wall off completely, as more stalkers are now warping in down over here. We have an aggressive pylon placement, as well as Grubby looking to perhaps strike while the iron is hot. Changeling now making its way over, as that warp prism does spot that zealot. We are going to get another pylon down over here, as well as we are now doing in a beautiful push. Force fields preventing the drones from escaping at all, and this is going to definitely hurt. A queen going to get taken down, immortals with that high burst damage, but what is this? Zerglings engaging stalkers in midfield as they're trying to engage, getting caught in transit, as the zealots are now coming back. Mutalisk now going in for a quick raid into the main and the natural, as the stalkers are now trying to push their way over. One Mutalisk is going to get taken down. A second Mutalisk may get taken down as well. Yes, it does go down, as the hatchery over here has fallen. Sentries, immortals now doing a crazy push. Shortstuff with a whole bunch of spine crawlers here, though. It should be enough to defend this attack, but one overseer does get taken down. Zealots now need to make their way forward. Is Grubby going to warp in a little bit further, as we now still see a lot of Mutalisks causing a constant array of harassment against these units here. The stalkers have been able to push them back. Zerglings are now pushing back over here, as the zealots, spine crawlers, have rerouted themselves. In comes the Guardian Shield, and here we go. The spine crawlers getting transfused. Force fields preventing any of the Zerglings from really engaging at all. Now, this is not looking good for both sides. Both sides have dealt a lot of damage to each other, but Grubby is significantly ahead overall, but he is still down by about 5 harvesters. It is 2 base Zerg versus a 2 base Protoss, so the advantage is going to be going to the Protoss now, as the stalkers are getting in some easy shots on some fleeing Zerglings. You can see a couple extractors here. It is at least going to force more drones to be sacrificed, and another 25 resources there, as we are going to be taking down 1 larva. Now Zerglings coming in to swarm back down at the low ground pylon. There it goes. And what is Grubby going to do? Grubby cannot engage against this very fast moving high damage army. We can see that they're going to be trying to make a move forward here, but there are simply too many spine crawlers. 7 spine crawlers, and adding in a lot of defense. We can see that the Mutalisks are trying to make their way over, perhaps take down this pylon. Warp Prism could just turn into phase mode once again and warp in more reinforcements. The front door, this Nexus was cancelled a long time ago. Grubby, looking like he was trying to go for a third base, quickly cancelled it to do this push with this amount of pressure. Spine crawlers here, still 7 of them sitting on the front door. 2 base Zerg versus 2 base Protoss. And Grubby may catch a couple of units in transit. No, the Zerglings are running all the way back as they're able to take down 1 pylon. Alright, more Zerglings trying to make their way in, trying to engage, and here we go. Force fields, are they going to be coming in? Yes, Grubby with a lot of force fields and able to get off a lot of damage. The problems are the Immortals cannot attack air even with those twin cannons. Cannons unable to shoot the air even though disruptors are, and now Grubby realizes that he cannot keep up with the production of units of Shortstuff and decides to retreat even though he has a larger army. Level 1 armor upgrades now coming in. Twilight Council has been completed as we are already about to be completed with Blink. Grubby with over 20 or exactly 25 Stalkers should be able to blink forward and take down these Mutalisks, really swinging things in his favor. 2950 versus 4,000, but that is a lot of Mutalisks. 2,000 minerals and 2,000 gas worth of Mutalisks as the Mutalisks are now looking to swarm in again. The Stalkers, are they going to be able to engage? Yes, able to engage and blink forward, getting in some easy shots there. 2 Stalkers do go down, but a new round of Stalkers could blink forward and get off even more shots there once again. Not quite sure who came out on top as we are now transitioning into a Dark Shrine. The go-to unit for all Protoss players if they feel they are a little bit behind and want to make a move. Grubby does have 1 proxy pylon off here. We can see it is going to be a 4 base Zerg versus a 3 base Protoss in just a moment, as the hatchery has been placed down here and here as well. Level 2 armor upgrades now coming in. Drones being trained up a dozen at a time. Only 2 probes at a time being trained as the Zerglings. Oh, the Zerglings were able to get sight of that new base there, and now the Mutalisks making their way over. Stalkers able to engage and shoot a couple more of those Mutalisks out of the sky. Alright, we are teching the tier 3. We are getting Zerg flyer attack level 2. We are going into pathogen glands and are already with hive tech coming in, and we should be seeing some infestors momentarily, as infestors are going to be very, very strong counter units to those Stalkers, making them so they cannot blink. 1 gateway down here has been removed, so the Zerglings may try to do a run by, as Zealots are going to take down this hatchery well before it gets up and running. Hatchery already down to 100 some odd hit points. Down it goes. The Zealots now trying to finish off some Zerglings. A little bit of a good trade there, as we're now seeing the Stalkers make another move forward. Creep Tumors are getting taken down. Stalkers and Immortals pushing together, and Grubby doing a nice strong counter push, but the Mutalisks are simply going to ignore this attack, and they might try to just hit the 3rd base. Stalkers are in position, and here we go. There are Zealots there with a couple of photon cannons. Are we ready? Yes, we are, and in comes the Stalkers and the Mutalisks. The Mutalisks with such a massive number, able to take down these cannons very quickly, and also take down these Stalkers. More Stalkers trying to come in, and there's a beautiful blink forward by Grubby, and Grubby is just destroying all of these Mutalisks. What is Shortstuff doing? I'm not sure, and his entire Mutalisk ball is now pretty much down to, I believe, yes, single digits. Only a pair of Mutalisks left in the air, and taking a look at Grubby, I would say perhaps he was trying to free up some supply, but that really didn't make that much sense. Alright, back down off over here. Zergling's going to be coming around and surrounding the Zealot. Here the Zealot will get taken down, no problem at all. Stalkers and Zerglings still trying to engage. Stalker is going to be taking down these Zerglings here, as there is still a whole bunch of Spine Crawlers, and Shortstuff is looking to pretty much mine out of his main base. You can take a look at this. 19 Spine Crawlers. Spine Crawlers, one of the best defensive units in the game. Very good range, very effective versus armored, and also with that base 2 armor and the ability to be transfused, very difficult to get taken out. Grubby now making his way over with a couple Stalkers. The Stalkers need to blink back. Where are they going to go? They are just going to be left left for dead here, as we now see some High Templar Stalkers. Oh, they blinked forward to get down one Overlord here, and now we see a 4th base being taken by Grubby. Grubby now going to be up on bases, and this is a definite advantage for the Protoss. But what can he use in order to take down all of these spine crawlers? Grubby has yet to really go into any Colossi play. We see Void Rays being added, and Void Rays could be effective as they do have about 40 DPS. Stalkers now coming in. Oh, Psy Storm getting in some of those Zerglings in transit. You can see a little bit of low health on the back Zerglings there. We are getting in some High Templars off over here. Are they going to warp into Archons or merge into Archons here? Yes, they are, but that may be a little bit too little, too late, as one High Templar is trying to run away. It looks like it will get taken down. Down it goes. Archon now will be engaging, and the Archon needs to get to work. It's going to get surrounded and taken down very quickly as well. Zerglings now trying to run away once more. A couple quick hits from Zealots as those units try to run by, and the Zerglings will get finished off. More Zerglings now trying to run across the center. They will be able to flank this position here as Photon Cannons are now being added. High Templars do have Psystorm, and they are about ready to go, as Zerglings now trying to engage all of the Stalkers here. Shortstuff now making a move, perhaps trying to take up this hatchery down here at the 6 o'clock position. A 70 supply difference between Shortstuff and Grubby. Grubby still in a very, very nice lead so far, and now getting level 2 weapons upgrade completed. Stalkers about to do a little bit of a push down here, and the Infestors will be very, very key in making sure that those Broodlings are actually able to get in a lot of damage. Let's take a look at the army sizes and what's going to be happening. Stalkers, Broodlings, and there we go. A beautiful play by Shortstuff to make sure that all of these Stalkers were taken down. High Templars now trying to go in for perhaps some feedback. That did not work out at all, but the hatchery has been delayed as the drone now tries to make its way down over once again. We now see a 5th base by Grubby, and Grubby is just expanding across the map. Stalker's going to cancel or force a destruction on that hatchery as the Broodlings once again chase over. Archons now being added, as we are now getting Zerg Flyer Attack level 3 upgrades with Mass Corruptors. Mothership now being added, Warp Prism being added, and the only thing we don't really see is Colossi in tier 3 and also carriers. Probes now being transferred over, minimal saturation at this 12 o'clock base. Zerglings now looking to perhaps expand in a direction that Grubby is not expecting. If Shortstuff is actually able to set up an expansion here at the 9 o'clock position, because Zerg players don't normally expand in front of their opponents, that would be huge. A beautiful Psystorm come in. Zealots also coming in as well. Are the Archon? Yes, the Archon is going to merge in here as the Zealot going up to battle with one Queen there. The Archon now looking to perhaps take down a couple of buildings here, and now an Overlord may get taken down as well. That Archon in a very good position no longer, as the Zerglings are able to surround and take it down. Let's take a look. Grubby now setting up some more Photon Cannons here. Is it going to be a hatchery? Yes, it is going to be a hatchery here at that 9 o'clock position, and we'll see what will be going down here in just a moment. Shortstuff still waiting on a hatchery, needs to expand here and here as well. There are proxy pylons, and it looks like another High Templar Zealot drop, and Grubby has just been constantly harassing, causing lots of problems. We are going to see how much damage these units are able to do once more. This Warp Prism may get shot down as well. No Warp Prism speed mode at all. Alright, Zealots now coming in. High Templars are in position. There goes some Psystorm as well. There is some infested Terrans. Warp Prism now trying to warp in some more units. Not going to be able to do so, as we already see Broodlords now making their way back. Stalkers and now a Mothership still making their way around, as Shortstuff still sitting on a pretty decent size army and has been playing very, very nice defense. Dark Templar tries to snipe down a hatchery, and is it going to be able to do so? This one, Dark Templar here, no, unable to do so, as the hatchery is now down to 175. Infestors, Spine Crawlers now making their way over. The Stalkers are maybe able to blink back. Yes, they're going to be able to do exactly that. And how much damage can be dealt? The Zealots now charging forward. Broodlings trying to make their way over, but the hatchery still falls. Beautifully played, as we are still now back down to 3 bases for Zerg. I have not seen a Zerg player hold on 3 bases for quite this long. Taking a look at the army of the Zerg is actually much stronger as we see a probe advantage. We are also going into heavier infestor play, so we are going to have a dozen infestors on the field as the mothership now has to be careful for neural parasite. Pneumatized carapace on those overlords for faster movement just in case Dark Templars do become much more of a staple unit. A Warp Prism now going to be trying to go in for another drop here, perhaps dropping right there along the north, getting in some more Psy Storm, and then perhaps being able to take down these Spine Crawlers. We see the large massive units of Grubby coming in along the side here. Archons are 3-2 upgraded, still no Colossi at this point. But then again, the Broodlords would probably rip apart the Colossi before the Colossi could take down these Spine Crawlers. In comes the drop, not going to be effective at all. There is, a 1 feedback, not going to be enough to kill it. Beautifully done as Shortstuff still playing some brilliant defense. We are now setting up onto 6 bases for Protoss. Grubby has lost a lot more units and is still making their way around. Stalkers now blinking their way forward. Broodlords being forced to retreat. Psy Storm now coming in. And now, there is a beautiful recall. Recalling all the units back home. And if Grubby keeps on engaging like this, there is not much that can be done. Alright, Mothership going to attempt to take down all of these destructible rocks. Perhaps if the Mothership was off over here, would have actually been able to deal a lot more damage, as these Broodlords are very slow moving. If you're able to take down all of these key tech buildings in the center and also take down a couple of hatcheries for production, that would hurt the overall numbers, as the Stalkers are now making their way forward, destroying a lot of these creep tumors. Zerglings now engaging up against a couple Zealots. There are a lot of pylons all across the map. This one next looks like it will get taken down, but Grubby is still running on 5 bases compared to a 4-base Zerg, only mining on about 2 of them. Zergling's going to quickly take down this Nexus off over here. Not quite sure why Grubby is warping in assimilators in the midst of so many Zerglings, as a new base being established down over here as well. Zealots now making their way off to the north. The Zerglings are going to get crackling upgraded in just a moment. We are going to see massive upgrades all across the board, as the Immortals are now making their way in. Zergling's going to get taken down. Grubby blinking around, making sure that none of their Stalkers are taken down. Meanwhile, we can see a massive Changeling army making their way in. What is this? A massive Changeling army. Not quite sure what it can really do here at all, as, oh no, Grubby accidentally targeted one of his own photon cannons. I guess trading Changelings for pylons is a good trade. Back down here, we can see Shortstuff now trying to establish off a new base here. He is still going to be behind on bases. It is going to be 5 to 6 right now, as a new Nexus should be warping up here momentarily. Grubby wants to win this war of attrition, but he's going to be going up against a lot of Infestors and Broodlords. These Infestors have been so effective at landing those fungal growths and utilizing those infested Terrans for high DPS, and I don't know if there's anything much more scary than a whole bunch of Infestors with a lot of energy. Infested Terrans now all of a sudden spawning, and Grubby is forced to retreat. You can try and just bait out infested Terrans, but with so many Infestors on the field, these Infestors can just replenish their energy so quickly. Mothership is now back out on the field. We are going into Protoss air weapons upgrade. We are going into a massive number of Stargates, as we could be seeing carriers. Spine Crawlers just outside the range there, as the Mothership looking to engage once more. Zealots now trying to take down this hatchery before it gets operational. Looks like it will be able to do so. Down to 7 hit points. There it goes. The Queen unable to transfuse, as we are still seeing Zerglings, and now Grubby still sitting on 74 probes versus 53. Shortstuff, though, still with the larger army, sitting at 16,000 resources. Extended thermal lance range coming in, Protoss air weapons upgrade, ground armor, and carriers being added to the group, as the carriers are simply just going to be countered by those Corruptors. The Corruptors have a decent amount of armor, 4 armor, 5 if it is fully upgraded, minimizing the amount of damage that carriers do, since carriers attack fully upgraded 8 times 2, reducing their damage from 16 down to 6. Wow. Archons now looking to put pressure back over here as the hatchery is not yet ready. A Warp Prism is in position to perhaps warp in some more units. A Zealot now trying to make a run by, not going to be successful at all. And what are all of these units doing, and where is that mothership? Mothership still holding back off over here. Level 3 armor and armor upgrades, both ground and air variety. Void Rays, carriers. Oh my, what is going to be happening here, as Void Rays may be the actual proper counter unit, and Grubby actually taking down his own Immortals, not liking them at all. Alright, so trying to free up some more. Void Rays are going to be the true unit here, as the Void Rays are effective versus Corruptors and can attack while moving. We're going into Graviton Catapults and also have higher DPS. One thing to note, Void Rays are not massive units, so Corruptors do not deal their full 26 damage. They only deal 17. And while the Void Rays are actually dealing about 40 damage a second. So that is a huge damage discrepancy, as the Archons taking down an easy free queen there. Stalkers getting off an easy shot on those Corruptors, as the Corruptors are still moving around trying to figure out where exactly they can go. Broodlord still flanking across the back over here. One Overlord off here, and it looks like the center expansions may actually be taken on this map at some point. This is a true north versus south matchup here. We are at the 36-minute mark in this game with no one having a clear advantage. Protoss shield upgrades, level 3 coming in, making those Archons even more deadly, as we are trying to see if the units can actually make their way up the ramp here and get some damage. A lot of spine crawlers. One of the benefits of Zerg and Protoss is their stationary defense doesn't cost supply, unlike Terran players with bunkers. And there you go, trying to push in with these Stalkers. I believe all Grubby is trying to do is free up some supply now and take down a hatchery while he's out it. You can see that there are, what is this, a large group of Overlords not going to be able to do very much, as the hatchery does get taken down. And another beautiful recall by Grubby. In comes the attack though, as a Nidus Worm comes in, and in comes a whole bunch of infested Terrans, and this is going to hit Grubby's production hard. Grubby going to be losing a whole bunch of units here as the units are trying to warp their way in. You can see that Dark Templars were warped in only to be a fungal growth, and now all of these warp gates will be destroyed. What a huge hit to the heavy production of Grubby. Grubby no longer the ability to warp in tons and tons of units. So a beautiful Nidus network coming in across the map, as the infested Terrans unable to take down the Forge here, and the Stalkers are actually not moving forward, which is causing even heavier problems. Grubby going to be forced to now once again rebuild all of these warp gates, as another Nidus Worm now coming in from the back. Is it going to actually complete in time? No, I don't believe so. Down it goes, as we may see another Nidus network off over here. This is going to be the key point. All of these Void Rays or all of these tech buildings are much more expensive to replace than those gateways. And if he was able to land off some infested Terrans here, that would be a huge hit, as it may have been able to snipe down that Nexus as well. So far, more infested Terrans now coming in over here on the other side of the map. All of the probes now trying to pull away. More infested Terrans coming in, and these infestors trading energy for units. Going to be able to deal massive damage here, as the resources loss is absolutely huge. Infested Terrans now taking down the Nexus. In comes the carriers, in comes the Void Rays, as another Nexus may be falling. Yes, it does go down. So 2 Nexuses go down here, as that is a heavy hit once more. This one Void Ray needs to get taken down. Nexuses are going to get replaced, and now we need to see some pylons up on the high ground to make sure that does not happen again. Shame on Grubby for allowing that to happen twice, as Grubby quickly sees all of these changelings change into Zealots, and that Zealot's like, oh yeah, you're my bro, it's all good. Alright, Grubby should perhaps consider taking down these destructible rocks for faster mining, as we're going to be seeing the carriers now making their way up. Carriers are almost fully upgraded. We are getting in more photon cannons. The Void Rays are going to be dealing massive amounts of damage fully charged, as we are now seeing Void Rays just on patrol, making sure to snipe down any Overlords or Overseers. We are still sitting on a 5-base Zerg, only 2 proper mining bases, but who needs minerals when you have 20 infestors? These 20 infestors have been worth their weight, and have dealt a tremendous amount of damage so far, but it doesn't really have any true follow-up. Let's take a look at the, I can't even see how many warp gates there are. There's only 3 or only a couple operational warp gates at this time, as another Nexus now being taken here as well. Now, at this point, I believe I'm going to actually have to pause the game, as I didn't expect this game to actually be going this long, and I'm actually running out of hard drive space here. So stay tuned for part 2. I'm actually going to hide part 2, so it is in the description of this link, or in the description of this video. Just find the link, click on it, and stay tuned for part 2 of what is turning out to be an epic game between Grubby and Shortstuff.